Hi guys, Scott Woodward to join you and to talk about one of my favourite teams, the Manly Sea Eagles. And quite an interesting year here with the Sea Eagles losing a lot of their very impressive players. Dean Varey, Tony Williams, Darcy Lussack and Daniel Harrison would be the top four that have left Manly. And while clearly Varey and Tony Williams are losses, I don't believe, I never had an opinion of Daniel Lussack. I think he's overrated, certainly an unintelligent forward, and Daniel Harrison I thought was just a so-so player. Both those guys have gone to the Eels, and I don't think they were astute pickups by the Eels, and I don't think it's a problem for the Seagulls. I think you find that they have replaced them very easily. The interesting thing here is who replaces Tony Williams and plays that left back row position. We're going to talk about who we think could, and what some of the options when we go through each one of the teams. Just before we get into that, don't forget to pick up your free ebook download, both available NRL and AFL. If you just go down below to the Champion Profits Join Me link down below and just click on it, and you can get that free ebook. I think you'll enjoy it. A lot of good stuff in there, and I think it'll help you with your selections during the course of the year. Okay, some of the points that I wanted to talk to you about. There's no question that travelling to the UK prior to the season last year had an impact on Manly. They just weren't ready for it. They went fine during the year, and they were always going to be one of the teams to beat. By the time they got to the semi-finals, they were shot ducks. Three-quarters of their team were carrying big injuries, and the Melbourne Storm just played with them in a sudden death semi-final. They just couldn't last the distance. Certainly, you wouldn't believe the talent in that side, the way they played against the Melbourne Storm, and especially going down to Melbourne and playing down there. They really needed to finish first or second so they could get a game at Brookvale. But that didn't happen. There's no question they will appreciate not going to England this year. It remains to be seen what happens to the Storm, because they have to go to England this year. So I think they'll be fresher. I think with that experience under the belt, I think coach Jeff Tuvey will have learnt a lot. He's also recruited living legend Andrew Johns, and people who I know well, who know Joey very well, say he's one of the smartest guys they've ever met to talk about football and the strategic mind that he has about football. So there's no question, if he's anything like he played as a coach, he'll be a massive asset to Manly and a wonderful assistance to Jeff Tuvey. Tuvey's last year, in his first year, 26 games, had 16 wins. That's a 62% strike rate. Look, and I know that's only one season, but I think only Bobby Fulton has got a better strike rate than that. So you have to say it's been a successful year, despite the fact that they come off a premiership win under their previous coach Des Hasler, and they did have a lot of injury problems at the end of the year. They've had a good off season. They've picked up some very, very good, I'll say, cheap buys. There's someone over there at Brookvale that knows what they're talking about. I think that they've got some astute buys. They need a very key buy to replace T-Rex, because he was a massive impact for them last year, and one of the reasons why they got to where they got to, even though he had a shocker in that last game for them. I'm going to talk about the contenders for that position and who I think should be in that role. Let's have a quick look at the team. Clearly, Brett Stewart is backing up again. He's a world-class fullback, and certainly no fullback scores more tries than what he does. He's just freakish, a little bit like Ben Barber, that he knows where to be. He has a sense where the ball is going to pop up, and he's always there, and he's so elusive. And he's just a brilliant player. The problem that Manly have got is that if something happens to Brett Stewart, without the players that they've had there in past years, they don't have an obvious replacement for him, and they will struggle with no Brett Stewart. They will also struggle with if they lose their 6 or 7 Kieran Foran or Dally Cherry Evans. They don't have obvious backups for either of those three players, and that's a big red flag for Manly, and that's a big challenge for their coaching staff. Having a look at the two wings, we'll assume Wolfman David Williams will be on the right wing, and George Tafuya, while he is an incredible talent, he certainly can make a lot of errors. He's been found out that he really struggles under the bomb. we would think that there's been a lot of work done in that area in the off-season, and he will be better under the bomb. He also struggles in defence, and that entire left side for Manly is a worry in defence when the ball goes out there. You've got Steve Matai, and you've got Tufuya, and also you've got Kieran Foran. Those three guys are all ordinary in defence. Some people think Kieran Foran is a good defender. I can tell you he's not. Have a look at his stats and his missed tackles. Kieran Foran, Matai and Tufuya on that left side are very vulnerable in defence, and the smart teams, that's the side that they attack. They don't want to go to the other side where you've got Jamie Lyon. So they need to get that right. There's a lot of experience there with the exception of George, and you'd think that they don't have to improve too much to do a lot better than what they did last year. That was a big problem for them, and the Storm simply carved them up in that area in the sudden death game last year. We talked about Kieran Foran and Daly Cherry Evans. They make up a wonderful 1-6-7, and Matt Bellin will be the hooker. It's a very experienced hooker. All those four guys have played rep football, and while it's a wonderful asset that Manly have got, they don't have any backups if there's a problem. Daly Cherry Evans won't play State of Origin unless there's injuries. Kieran Foran clearly can't. He's a Kiwi, and remains to be seen if Laurie Daly will go with Brett Stewart or he'll go with the Raiders fullback for New South Wales. So if he goes for Brett Stewart, that's going to be a problem for the 3 State of Origin games for Manly. Look at the forwards. They're certainly the 2 oldest props combination in the competition, Jason King and Brent Kite. But I have to say, I think they're going as good as ever. I thought they went terrific last year, particularly Brent Kite. He went just terrific. He kept putting in, making good metres. Hurts people when he hits the ball up, and so does Jason King. He's not an easy man to tackle, and they put a grunt into that Manly pack. You have to like them. I know they've got a bit of age on them, but they don't know that, and they're playing as good as ever as far as I'm concerned, and I think they deserve to be going around again. Anthony Watmoe played a lot with injury last year, and he was just a shot duck come semi-finals. Fit and well, fit Anthony Watmoe, we can expect him back to his brilliant best, and when he is, there's not too many better forwards in the world than him. Manly really do need him to have a big year this year if they're going to be going anywhere. And Glenn Stewart on that right side, him combined with Jamie Lyon is just one of the most potent attacks on any right side field in any club, and they need a fit Glenn Stewart and a fit Jamie Lyon on that side, and Manly will be very, very hard to beat in this competition. Now, we're going to talk about the left second row position. One of the guys that Manly recruited was a guy who I have a high regard for, Michael Chikam. He has a high work rate, and I don't know if he's going to start, but I do know that he will make a presence at some stage during the year for Manly. And if he's trialled well, and I haven't seen him trial at this stage, but if he has trialled well and he lives up to his promise that I've seen in the lower grades, I think he's the man to step into T-Rex's shoes. He's a completely different player to T-Rex, but I think he'll complement that left side very, very well. The other guy who I would have in contention for that position is Brenton Lawrence. He's a big guy and he's surprisingly fast. And I don't really think that we saw the best of him when he was at the Titans, largely because the Titans had a lot of high-profile guys in his position, and he never got a real go. He come off the bench all the time, and often when they were in trouble. And I'd love to see him start a game and just see what he can really do. He can run the length of the field, and for a guy of that size, that's just enormous. So look, I'm tipping that one of the recruits, Brenton Lawrence or Michael Chikam, will be one of the guys that will end up filling that left back row spot. I would be surprised if the coach started with Jamie Buhrer. I know he's played in that role before, but to me he's a bench guy. I don't see him as a starter. He can come on and he can play in the back line. He can play in the forwards, and obviously he can come on and replace Matt Bellin at hooker. And I think to have him on the bench is valuable for the club. I wouldn't want to be starting him because they haven't got too many guys as versatile as what he is. So I see Jamie Buhrer starting on the bench. Back up for the forwards, we've still got Joe Nalaveo, just a wonderful warrior. Once again, got plenty of age on him, but when he comes on, he makes an impact, and just fantastic. One of their recruits, Sayo, I think he'll make a presence during the year. Another young guy who I think is an outsider for a lot of minutes during the year for Manly, is Ben Mussolino. He's done some incredible things in the under-20s last year, and I think he's a very astute pickup for Manly, and I think he'll be there for a long time, and I think he'll be a first grader for a long time. Ben Mussolino, looking forward to his progress as a Sea Eagle. Justin Horro, I think, is a terrific pickup. Look, I know he has some problems in defence, but he can play in the centres and he can play in the back row. And if the guys have done some work on him and taught him how to improve his technique in defence, I think Justin Horro will make his presence felt at Manly. He's always dangerous when he's got the ball. We know what George Rose can do. He's not a good trainer. He's lazy on the field, but he went terrific in the Indigenous game. He hits the ball up very hard, and he can bust tackles and he can offload. Nice guy to have coming off the bench, George Rose. So you can see Manly got a fair bit of depth in the forward pack, and that's obviously what you need. I haven't talked about Richie Fayoso. Richie Fayoso is a guy who is tough. He doesn't take a backward step, and he'll put that grunt also into that Manly pack. So there's a lot of skill and there's a lot of toughness in this Manly pack, and I think if the coach gets the configuration right, I think they'll be as good as ever. I don't have a problem with that. A guy that I haven't mentioned, Essie Tonga, and he could be a contender to play fullback if Brett Stewart is out during Origin or injured. Essie Tonga got a lot of speed, and like his brother, and elusive, better known as a centre, but can play fullback, and be interesting to see where he's been trialling. So I guess in summary what I'm saying is I think Manly have been very astute in some of their pickups. A lot of the guys that they've got wouldn't have cost the world, and some of the guys who have left the club have been traded for the world. And I think Manly are probably breaking square with who they've lost and who they've gained. You probably think that they haven't at this stage of the season. I'll be interested to see what you think at the end of the season. I think you'll see some of the guys that they've picked up will do very well early in the season and during the course of the season. I've mentioned to you that Manly went to England last year. They're not going to do that this year, and I think they'll see the year out a lot better, especially with the experience of the coach. They have 7 Monday night games, which is a big negative in the draw. Don't know how that happened, but I have to say 2 of those Monday nights are in succession, so that's actually an advantage for them, because the teams that they're playing won't like playing the Monday night. So if you like, they'll get used to playing on a Monday night, and to have 2 of them in succession is a plus for them. But nobody likes playing on Monday night, and to draw 7 Monday night games in the first 20 rounds is not ideal, and you have to question how the draw was done for that to happen. I've talked about the left side defence. That's a problem for me with Manly. I've talked about the concern that I have with the replacement of Brett Stewart, Kieran Foran and Daly Cherry Evans. 3 of their most outstanding players, and if any one of those guys go down, I think Manly are going to be in big trouble. That's about all I've got to say. They finished 4th last year. I think they would have gone a lot better had they been had a little bit more luck with injuries. He's hoping that they're better prepared for it this year, and the good players stay out of problems. And a fit, strong Manly 13 and a Manly 17, I have no doubt will be playing semi-final football, and they'll make the final 4. But for me, I really would like to see them make the top 2. I think it's important that they get a home game in Sydney, and they don't have to travel interstate like they did last year. I look forward to seeing Manly have a very big season again this year. Good luck. Cheers.